Hey, what's up guys? It's Darkroads here with a Throne of Lives Beginner's Guide. This is going to be the first installment in an ongoing series, so if you are new and you want access to as much information as possible, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any content. So, we're just going to jump right into the first topic. The first topic is something I see a lot of people struggle with a lot, and that is how to not be executed as the Blue Dragon King. How to convince people that you are a good guy. So, I'm not going to sit here and go over all the abilities, right? Because you're adults, I'm sure. You know how to read. No big deal. Only things that we're going to go over is the Royal Finger, Decide Fate, and Safeguard. Let's go over Decide Fate first. As a new player playing Blue Dragon King, you don't get to use this, like at all. There's some nuanced situations where an experienced Blue Dragon King might use it, but you don't get to. See, it's gone. You don't have this ability anymore. You only have 1 day ability now, okay? So, let's talk about how to get the Blue Dragon to trust you. So the first thing that I see a lot of people in the Discord talking about is they're like, oh, I got executed as the Blue Dragon King. Why does everybody always think I'm evil? And the first thing I ask them, well, were you pointing every trial, like the first trial of the day, every day? And they're always like, well, no, why would I do that? Wouldn't I just save it? No. You know why you don't save it? So, because you're only allowed 1 day ability per day, and you know how I said we don't get to use this one? That's because we're going to be only using this one. Because this one can hurt people. This one can make people think you're evil. This one never can. So if you're always using this on the first trial of every day before they get upped, right, then you can never use this ability. So Blue Dragon's not worried about you, say their favorite little boyo, the prince, right? He gets up on the stand and he's like, oh, I'm the prince, hee hee. I'm a good guy, hee hee, right here. Put me down, ooh ooh, right? You say that. They're not worried that you're just going to slam dunk his face into the next generation and just execute him and get him right out of the game, completely destroying most of Blue Dragon's chance to win, right? So if you're using this, they're not worried about this, so they don't consider you a threat. Even if you are Evil King, if you can't slam X the Prince, they're not too worried about you at the beginning. Next is Safeguard. This is your night ability that you can use to grant people death immunity, right? Sure, you used it, but how did you use it, right? So, you need to be using death immunity to protect the most obvious attacks from the evils, right? But you might say, well, then I'm going to waste the ability, because if they know that I'm going to defend them, why would they attack them? Doesn't matter, right? Because your job as king is not to even prevent deaths, right? This is like a bonus. This isn't your job, though. So you need to be using this to prove yourself as good. So if a prince claims, right, because we didn't slam X him because we're a good guy, right, we need to be guarding him at every chance that we can. So the first night that he claims, we'll be able to guard him. We won't be able to guard him the next night, so then we want to guard somebody else. But who do we guard? Well, you can choose between yourself, if there's nobody that's really kind of confirmed, or nobody. Guarding nobody when you can't guard the prince is an okay tactic. Or who you really want to look for is like a confirmed sheriff, or somebody who's playing really aggressively and pushing evils for claims. If they're pushing aggressively but only voting Blue Dragons, right, you don't really want to protect them because they could be evil. But if somebody's actively pushing evils and is scum reading well, good idea to protect them. But then, doesn't matter how good this guy is. This guy could be the best in the game, right? You go back to guarding the prince. Because the prince is the most powerful Blue Dragon class in the game, right? You need him alive as Blue Dragon to win. If he dies early, you're going to have a bad time. So it's your job as the king. If he's claimed every other night, you have to safeguard him. If you post logs and you were not guarding an open print, like an open claim prince every other day, you're going to be executed because you just look like Evil King, right? So we talked about how my job as king is not to actually proc safeguard, and that's a bonus. So what is the king's job? So the king's job, the king is an information collector, right? So say, well, he's not a sheriff though. He can't test people if they're not sus or if they're part of the cult. How does he get information? Well, there's this slash whisper command, or right click, and you whisper people for claims, right? You get their claims, you get their logs, you put it in your logs, you random point people, right? If there's no leads, you pick a number. You know, a lot of people like to start at 2 and go down, but I think starting at 2 and going down is a little bit too predictable, so I like to just choose like 11. Just like a random number. Or 10. 10's always evil, so it's good to get a claim from 10 early. But your job is an information collector. You need to be actively taking part in everything, because if you're a passive king, right, as opposed to an active king, people are going to think you're evil, because the evil king, he's trying to waste time, right? He wants the game to go on as long as possible, whereas the Blue Dragon King, he wants the game to end fast. Because the longer the game goes, the harder it is for the Blue Dragon, right? So, you need to be actively asking people for claims, pushing people, verifying their claims, right? Whenever I say active, though, I don't mean just, executing everybody who gets on the stand. That's another thing that a lot of people like to do. They like to play a little bit too aggro on Blue Dragon, which is fine. Playing aggro is fine if you can scum read really well, but if you're a new player, you need to just be getting claims, getting information to the court, and allowing the experienced players to make conclusions from then on. Once it's late game and people already trust you, and your royal finger will really matter, you don't have to point every time, but for the first at least 4 days, you need to be doing this every single time. Right? And gathering information all the time. So here's something that I like to do. Say your court, they want to vote from 2, right? Okay, that's cool. Me as the king, while we're voting from 2, I'm whispering from 16 up. So we get a claim from 2, we get a claim from 16, we get a claim from 3, we get a claim from 15. Just so that we can get information out there as fast as possible. Because as Blue Dragon, you don't want some dude sitting down in the 12 spot, right? That looks like a 7. In the 12 spot, just not claiming, being evil, killing people. Doesn't have to claim because we're worried about all the people at the top. You need to be getting claims from everywhere on the board. Even if you do all of this, sometimes Blue Dragon's still gonna think that you're evil, but as long as you've done these things and have not used this ability, I think you've done enough steps to prove yourself to the Blue Dragon. Now obviously as Evil King, you're gonna want to do some of these steps, but not others, to kind of convince people that you're the good king. But as the good king, you need to be doing these all the time, every time when you're in game. If anybody feels like I missed any specific strats, or you think that some of my information was worded badly, definitely leave a comment. If you have any specific questions that I didn't really go over here, because there's a lot that I didn't go over. This is just kind of a brief and quick overview of how to survive as the Blue Dragon King. Leave a comment or join the Throne of Lies Discord, which I'm going to go ahead and link in the description. And you can message me there, or anybody who's a guide, and they'll get you set in the right direction for those questions. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it and it helped you at all, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more Throne of Lies content, and leave a comment if I missed anything. It was a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Peace.